So I'm going to go over the pros and cons of one sticking and why I completely switched over. The first and very obvious con to one sticking is a very high cost to entry. You're looking at $500 to $600 just for the one sticking, the stick itself, all the ropes, the rappel device, everything you need to get started. You're going to be in the $500 to $600 range. And that doesn't include a saddle. Some of the high-end saddles are running around $250 to $300. So all in, you're in the $700 to $800 range to be able to get up the tree with one sticking. There's also a lot of items you need to buy. There's some websites that have kits that make it a little bit easier so you know that you're not missing anything. But overall, that's the first and biggest con of one sticking, is the high barrier to entry of the cost. I was fortunate to get a used setup from some friends and my brother-in-law, so that helped me with the rope and the stick. All in, my cost was probably around $200 buying a used setup, so that was super sweet. Another con to one sticking is there is a pretty steep learning curve. This is not something that you're going to buy, throw in your backpack, walk out opening day of archery and get up the tree without any training or preparation to learn how to use it. There is a lot of things you have to do. It feels awkward at first. It's uncomfortable. There's muscles that you've never used before that you have to use to climb up the rope and the stick, learning the different types of trees and just being safe. Anytime you're up off the ground at certain heights, you want to make sure you're safe, and you owe it to yourself and your family to make sure it's something that you practice with thoroughly before you go out and hunt with this setup. It's also quite a bit more strenuous on yourself climbing up the tree, and it's a lot more physically demanding. Early season, when it's warmer and it's hot, I sweat really easy. I get sweaty walking in, and then when I climb, that just adds another dynamic that makes me sweaty, and it does wear you out. So it's a lot more physically demanding, and it's also puts more wear and tear on your body over a long hunting season doing one sticking. Because everything is fixed on the one stick and you can't move the brackets or the standoffs, the nemesis of one sticking is crooked trees. If you try to put this on the tree and it's crooked, it really stinks trying to get up and down the tree, especially if it's like a small crooked tree. And that's one of the areas where I still brought my single sticks or my 3 sticks in to hunt with me on a couple areas or sets that I had where the trees were crooked, and it was really challenging to get up and down the tree with the one stick. One of the most frustrating things I've encountered with one sticking is dropping things. And that is something that you'd say, well, just don't be an idiot, don't drop things, but it happens. The thing that got me 2 or 3 times this archery season was one time I didn't attach my rope good enough to my bow, and I got to height and I had tension on my bow and it came undone. So I had to go all the way back down, tie my rope onto the bow again, go all the way back up. It's a long season, it's could be in grind, you're waking up at 4 in the morning, you're tired, you're not all the way there mentally. Got to my tree in the dark, started going up to the tree, it's getting light, felt good about my spot. Go to pull my bow rope up and I never tied my bow rope onto my bow, so I had to go all the way back down and get my bow again. Nature calls and you gotta use the bathroom, you gotta take a dump. You gotta come all the way back down. You can't just climb down your sticks and go right back up. You have to bring everything down, take a dump and go back up. So that's definitely a challenge and something to take into consideration if you're thinking about doing one sticking. So one of the biggest cons with one sticking, outside of dropping things, is getting your rope off the tree. I put it on the left side instead of the right. There are some risks to that. Again, this is not a how-to. This is how I do it. That could leave you stuck up in the tree with your, whatever that clip is. Easy. That came down quick. All right, so now we got all the negatives out of the way, let's talk about some of the positives. The biggest positive, and as I'm going over the positives, the sun's coming out and it's just like, hallelujah. So I cut off just over 2 pounds of weight on my setup. Now that might not seem like a lot, but when you're talking 9 to 10 pounds for your total setup, that's a 20% reduction in weight. I self-film my hunts, and I'm going a mile or so on public ground just about every sit. So being able to cut off 2 pounds, that saves me room for my camera arm, and it helps cut off some of that total pack weight on my back. The next biggest benefit is the reduction in overall bulk on my backpack. I mean, just the one stick and the rope, it's so nice to just throw that on your backpack and rock in and out of the woods, especially on those longer hikes where I'm not dealing with the extra weight of a climber stand or a hang-on stand, or even the 3 sticks in the platform that I was using last year for my traditional saddle setup. The other benefit to less bulk, less weight on my setup is I am able to pack out a deer with my backpack. I have a meat shelf. I love this pack. So if I kill a deer and I'm deep in a mile, mile and a half, I have enough room or capacity on my pack to put a hind quarter and like a front shoulder and maybe a back strap and do one trip out with the meat in my setup, get back to the truck, come back and get the rest of the deer. So that's another huge benefit, is less walking back and forth if you do harvest an animal and you're successful. Another pro with one sticking is the sky is the limit. You can get up as high as you want in these trees with the limitation of maybe your 40-foot rappel rope. But there are some stands where I'm hunting some oak flats where it's really open, and I know I need to get above that sight level of the deer to be able to get a draw if something comes out through the open. That is difficult for me to do with 3 sticks. So if I have to bring 4 sticks to get that extra height, now you're adding an extra 1.5 pounds and you're looking at 3 to 4 pounds of savings with the one stick over the traditional stick setup. The teardown time is quicker, and the benefit to that is I had a hunt this year where a doe came through, peed in a scrape, and I needed to move. I was about 70 yards off that scrape. I rappelled down, moved my stuff quickly. As I was getting up the other tree, a buck came through chasing the deer, and I almost got a shot off on that buck. But then shortly after, a nice 10-point came through that I got a shot on. Had I not been able to move that quickly down off the tree, I don't think I would have made it in time to the next tree without spooking those deer and goofing it up, and would have missed out on that opportunity of shooting that buck. So although it was a con for how awkward and the learning curve of one sticking, as the season progressed and I went on, I became much more effective and efficient with my climbing. It felt a lot less awkward, and I was able to cut down my time for getting up and down the trees more effectively. Big benefit of one sticking over traditional sticks is that it's faster. When you first start, and when I first started, that was not the case. How much faster? On a tree without any branches, I got down well over 2, in some cases even 3 minutes faster with the one stick than I could with the single 3 sticks. Now, I've seen lots of guys look at demonstrations of one sticking online and they say, whoa, yeah, great, we'll try that with branches, and the 3 sticks are faster. So I did another test where I raced myself doing a one stick versus 3 sticks up, and I had to go around 3 or 4 branches. The timing was about the same with the one stick as the 3 sticks, and I actually went a little higher with the one stick versus the 3 sticks. Big benefit of one sticking over traditional sticks is that it's faster. So last season I did 24 stands, mobile hunting from my saddle. Of those 24 stands, 4 of them I used my traditional sticks in platform. The other 20 was all with one sticking. Each time I went in the woods, I took with me both my one stick and my sticks and platform, and time after time I found myself grabbing the one stick instead of the sticks and platform, because I felt like the added benefits and pros outweighed the cons, and that is why I'm sticking with one sticking. Why it sucks still a little bit, but overall the benefits outweigh the cons, and I'd highly recommend trying it out. So check out some more videos on one sticking so you can do it safely and effectively, and best of luck in the woods. If you do drop something, is it does not take nearly as long to get up the tree the second time. My rope's all the way up there, so I can save a lot of time on my moves, and I won't go as high either.